What's up, everyone? Aaron Nagler here for PackersNews.com, live on Facebook late Wednesday afternoon. Hot, fresh off the news that Martellus Bennett has been released by the Green Bay Packers, coming across the transaction wire just a little while ago. He has been released with a failure to disclose a medical condition designation. This will get interesting. You can bet it. But in the meantime, Martellus Bennett, not a member of the Green Bay Packers any longer, after suffering a mysterious shoulder injury 2 weeks ago. And everyone's pouring in. Good to see y'all. So what does failure to disclose medical condition mean? Evan, that's a great question. Typically, it means that something was hidden from the staff and or the franchise prior to his signing. Interesting now that it comes out here, and we've got reports of the shoulder injury. No specifics whatsoever from McCarthy the last 2 weeks when we've been asking about it. And now this, inglorious dumping of Bennett. There's a lot of smoke there. Definitely a lot of smoke there. And the timing is interesting, no doubt about it. There was both the retirement announcement coupled with Aaron Rodgers' injury. You add it all together, like I said, a lot of smoke. Whole lot of smoke. And obviously, our guys will do the digging, and we'll get to the bottom of it as soon as we can for you. In the meantime, Martellus Bennett, no longer a member of the Green Bay Packers. The Packers obviously will go with Lance Kendricks and Richard Rodgers going forward. What does this mean for his signing bonus? It's a good question. I would tend to think it would really be up to the team whether they wanted to go after it or not, if it truly is a question of their believing that he misled them medically. I tend to think this is the Packers putting cover on something. I tend to think there's other things going on behind the scenes. It'll be up to the Packers whether they want to go after it or not. Darn, we got rid of brick hands. Oh boy. Didn't see that coming in a million years. The writing on the wall was when he dropped the pass on the play when Rodgers was injured. I mean, what a parting gift, right? Good riddance to bad rubbish. Bert with an English reference there. What about changing the defensive scheme? Mike, that's not going to happen as long as Dom Capers is in town. Well, there's smoke, there's fire, and I tend to agree. He has always been a front runner. Ooh, Paul with some harsh words for Martellus Bennett. Who do we bring in his spot? Who's on the roster? It'll definitely be Lance Kendricks and Richard Rodgers. Interestingly enough, on Monday night, Richard Rodgers played slightly more snaps than Lance Kendricks did. You do wonder maybe it's a familiarity with the offense. Kendricks obviously still in his first year in Mike McCarthy's scheme. Maybe that's why they went that way, but I think you'll definitely be seeing a lot more Lance Kendricks going forward. Think they bring in a new tight end? Alex, I tend to doubt it. Maybe they'll kick the tires on at Barnage or something, but I would doubt it. What about Rodgers' play calling? That's not going to happen. The sad thing is Cook's contract was $11 million cheaper. Corey, that's not strictly true. Really depends on how you look at the bonus structure and the years allotted. Do you have sense of that the front office is in chaos? No. Think 84 stretch defense is better anyways. Run block, not so much. I would very much tend to agree with that. Is this good or bad for the team? Austin, I don't think it's much of anything for the team. I think they will suffer a little bit in their run blocking. But it sure feels like, the timing, the way this is all kind of laid out, sure feels like maybe Bennett was shutting it down. That's just a guess. Can't wait to find out what the deal is with Bennett. It won't take long, I'm sure. Well, I would check his Instagram if I were you. Bring back Crabtree. There you go, Greg. Hey, he was in town this weekend. Should have released Capers too. Oof, Rick. That's tough love right there. It should have been my quarterback is not Aaron Rodgers, so I'm out. Possibly. This guy was a Belichick plant. There you go. I wouldn't put it past Bill. Should have just stuck with Richard Rodgers from the beginning. Not so sure about that, Trevor. Will Aaron Rodgers be the first $40 million man? Ryan, it would not surprise me whatsoever. Would you blame Rodgers for leaving? Oh, you mean Aaron Rodgers? Like leaving the franchise? That's not going to happen. I know Colin Cowherd has put this thought in everyone's heads, but Aaron Rodgers still has 2 years on his deal after this year. He's not going anywhere. They already suffer in run blocking or blocking in general. Sometimes, Ryan, yes. Can we get rid of Matthews while we're at it? Not till the offseason, although this offseason I think it's a very good possibility that they part ways with Matthews since they don't have any penalty for cutting him next year. And he is set to make something like $15 million. Got to try something new. Bye, Dom. Yeah, the Dom Capers chorus is growing. There's no doubt about that. I led the headline with a Morning Buzz this morning. There's zero doubt that, Dom Capers has a lot of work to do over the next 8 games to justify McCarthy keeping him around. What do you believe is the biggest problem with the team right now, Justin? They don't have Aaron Rodgers. Is that too easy? I tend to think McCarthy needs to figure out what the hell he wants to do on offense and stick to it. I feel like, you look at the discrepancy between what he was against the Saints and what he was against the Lions, and I understand game planning and attacking specific opponents certain ways, but I really think he needs to button it up and run the football, specifically with Aaron Jones, and get rid of all this spread stuff and just try and become a team that runs the football, takes shots maybe off of play action and or roll out, bootleg stuff, and control the football. Because the more opponents have and possess the football, the worse it's going to be for the Packers. Their defense is just not up for it. It's pretty simple. We need a new strength and conditioning coach. Couldn't disagree more, Andre. Can run blocking with tight ends be developed, or is it something that's built into a player? I think it can be developed. I do think some guys just have a predilection for it, but it can be developed. The problem, you look at the roster, guys like Kendricks and Rodgers, they've both been in the league for a while. If they were going to develop, they would have happened by now. They are pretty much what they are at this point. Will they re-sign Davante Adams anytime soon? I do wonder if, because now he is playing obviously with a different quarterback, his numbers will suffer greatly, if maybe they try to use this to kind of wedge in there and say, hey, try and get him a 2 or 3 year deal like they did with Cobb back in the day, or a 4-year deal in that instance, but it's early on, and you can say, look, take this deal now, bit of a hometown discount, and then get another bite at the apple with a few more years playing with Aaron Rodgers down the line. For Adams, 8 games left, that might be enticing. You look now and you can kind of project out what he's going to have for the rest of the year, numbers-wise. It's not going to be pretty. So that may be an opening for the Packers to try. I missed it. Why was he let go? Eric, Martellus Bennett was let go. The designation on the transaction wire was failure to disclose a medical condition. What that is, we don't know. Our pass defense is terrible. That is correct. Is the tight end room where it is supposed to be? If you mean with 2 tight ends, maybe they add a third. I tend to doubt it. With as many issues as the Packers are facing, are we close to a rebuild? I don't think so, Keith. I don't think they're facing, quote unquote, as many issues as people maybe make it out to be. I do think that a change of defensive coordinator is most likely in the cards if they continue down this path for the rest of the season. But I think McCarthy, Rodgers, Thompson, they're not going anywhere anytime soon. And the team thereby won't change anytime soon. Maybe we can finally get a top 15 pick in the draft. Jason, you got to think, if they continue playing the way they have the last 2 weeks, that's a very good possibility. Message sent to the team with that cut. Oh, possibly. I tend to doubt it, though. I mean, Marty's a free spirit. They knew what they were getting when they signed him. They knew this was a possibility. Again, if Aaron Rodgers is still playing, I really, really wonder if Marty Bennett would have been cut today. That's just a feeling. When do we cut McCarthy, Thompson, and Capers? Capers maybe this offseason. Thompson and McCarthy, their contracts are through 2018, so no time soon. Failure to disclose a medical issue, maybe insanity or foot and mouth disease. Oh, the internet's got jokes. This team is built to give points up. Not on purpose. Did I read that right? They released Bennett? That's right, Jem, you read that right. Is Aaron Rodgers even going to stick with the Packers? Is that what that says? Yes, Aaron Rodgers is going to stick with the Packers. Bennett is retiring from football to follow his dream about being a left leader. I don't know what to say about that. It's his personal politics, man. He can think what he wants to think. Who would be a good replacement for Capers? It's a good question. It's still a little premature for that. I do wonder whether they would, promote from within if they did let him go. Maybe they would try to give Darren Perry a shot or Joe Witt. I do tend to think they would look outside the building if they were to make a change. I think part of it is it would be driven by the scheme not being adequate. So I would think possibly they look outside the building for a new coordinator/system. They invested so much in this D to get so little. Jeremy, I tend to agree, and I think that would be part of the assessment at the end of the year, to look at the defense and look at the parts and look at the talented parts. They've got talent. Kenny Clark, Martinez jumping up in the second year. Kevin King's promising. Josh Jones is promising. Morgan Burnett playing very well. Mike Daniels, this is a good core group, but the end result with that group, the collective, has not been very good. So yeah, I agree. They've made some major investments there, especially in draft picks, and it has not improved their situation whatsoever. So yeah, I would think that would be part of the equation. If we lose to the Bears, thoughts on flexing the game against the Steelers? Yeah, I'll be very surprised if that doesn't happen, even if they win against the Bears. I think there's a Seahawks game that week that would be much more attractive for the NFL. But yeah, the Sunday night game against the Steelers, I would definitely watch for that. I think there's a very good possibility they flex it out. Aaron Nagler for defensive coordinator. Man, well, nobody wants that. I would blitz on every down, and then we would get burned over and over and over again. Why does the Pack struggle with halftime adjustments? That's a good question. It was a real strong suit of Mike Holmgren's. It hasn't been a real strong suit of Mike McCarthy's. I think Mike McCarthy is a great Monday through Saturday coach. His game plans are excellent when he comes through as far as like implementing out of the gate. I think that's the strength of his coaching ability. But I'm with you. At halftime, it seems the other teams do a much better job of reacting to what the Packers are doing than the Packers do reacting to their counterparts. Joining late, but any word on why Aaron Jones to get more snaps? Is he still running back one for the Packers? That is an excellent question. I asked Mike that immediately after the game, and I got shut down pretty hard. My question was, and my theory is that you saw that opening drive, and they moved the ball really well. Jones then missed a blitz pickup on first down when they went play action, and it got them behind the sticks, and that's what caused them to have to kick the field goal. And after that, literally after that play, he wasn't seen again for a good long while, and he ended up only with 5 carries. Now, McCarthy, and I asked if he was in the doghouse because of the blitz miss, and McCarthy shut that down, said, he's not in the doghouse, and kind of was very dismissive of it. But I know my guys, Eric Bronchek and Pete Doherty, in their film piece wrote that it was pretty obvious that, yes, he missed that blitz pickup and then wasn't seen again. So, McCarthy swears that they had ideas of, rotation going in, and they did use Ty Montgomery extensively. But, yeah, I think it's a good question. I don't know if he's running back one anymore or if they're going to split time. And if maybe they wanted to use Ty because he's better in the passing game. They wanted to use him to split out and get to the spread stuff, which opened up the middle of the field. You saw Hundley take advantage of that in a couple slant plays over the middle. So maybe that was opponent-specific, but we'll see against the Bears, because I tend to think they have to really kind of pound the football against Chicago. And I don't know. If they're going to do that, I think Aaron Jones is their best bet. It's time to realize the season rides on Hundley's ability to throw vertically. If that is the case, the season is over. Hundley is just not a vertical thrower. I don't know how many more ways I can say it. That is not his game. He can use his legs. He can throw. He can make pretty much any throw in the traditional West Coast offense. But that is going to be his game. It's going to be short. It's going to be over the middle. It's not going to be pushing the ball downfield. It's not going to be going vertical. That's who he is, and that's how McCarthy has coached it. I said last night on Twitter, someone asked about McCarthy's evaluation of his quarterback, and I said, look, the way McCarthy has used Hundley these past 2 weeks tells you all you need to know about where he feels the strengths are in his game. This is who Hundley is. He's not a guy who's going to throw it, he's going to rocket it down the field, he's going to push the ball down the field. They're going to play horizontal ball, they're going to run the football, and that's going to be the game. That's going to be their game plan. Would Mark Murphy fire Ted Thompson, or at least doesn't re-sign him? I go back and forth on the re-signing, on possibly giving him a contract extension, but I don't think I would be absolutely shocked if he let Ted Thompson go. He's made it abundantly clear on several occasions that, Ted Thompson is going to see the end of his contract, which runs through the end of the draft into the 2018 draft. So next season, and then the draft, and then his contract is up. At that point, he's got to have a plan, and you have to think he's working on it now. But I can't see in a million years him letting Ted Thompson go prior to that. Now, will he extend him at that? I know most Packer fans would freak out if that happened. I got to tell you, it's still a possibility that Ted Thompson gets a contract extension. I don't think that happens. I do think they will transfer into somebody else, but it's a possibility. One could argue we are a worse run organization than the Browns. Are you guys like passing out crazy stuff on the other end of the internet here? No, you can't even come close to making that argument. Not even in a billion years could you make the argument that the Packers are run worse than the Cleveland Browns. That's a patently absurd statement. The offense is irrelevant when the defense gives up 30. I don't know if it's irrelevant because it plays into it, When a defense is on the field, when the offense can't sustain drives and is continually going 3 and out, and the defense is playing 75 to 80 snaps a game, and by the fourth quarter they're completely worn down. I mean, don't forget, going into the second half, it's you're giving up 17 points. You should still be in the game. But when 17-3 feels like an insurmountable lead, and your offense is continually going 3 and out, the defense wears down. But with that said, you are right in the sense that, look, you're not going to win a whole lot of games if you're giving up 30 points every game. There's no doubt about that. So, but it all plays, it all works in concert. Do you think the Packers will go after his signing bonus? Henry, somebody asked that before. I actually don't. They probably could, but I tend to doubt it. Do you think a coaching change is coming? Matt, on the defensive side of the ball, I think it's a very real possibility. They could most likely get to this end of this year, and if things continue as they have with Capers, I do think Mike could make a change there. But do I think Mike McCarthy's going to be let go? No, I don't think McCarthy's going to be let go. But I do find it interesting that McCarthy's contract runs congruent to Thompson's, and he is signed through the 2018 season. So obviously, coming into next year, if he isn't signed to an extension, he'd be entering 2018 as a lame duck coach, which would be a storyline in and of itself all season long. Now, maybe Thompson gives him a 1-year extension like he did Mike Sherman back in the day, but we all know how that turned out for Mike Sherman. So, and then the other thing that comes into play is, so let's say they keep McCarthy around, let's say Thompson gives him a 1-year extension, but then they go and they get a different general manager after Ted Thompson's contract runs out. Well, what's to say that new general manager doesn't come in and say, I want my own guy? There's so much at play here, and there's so much kind of teetering around this the end of the 2018 season. Is the season over, or can we do something to salvage it? All right, I'm going to be honest with you. I'll be as honest as I can. The season was over when Rodgers broke his collarbone. It's plain and simple. My colleague Pete Doherty wrote those exact words that night in Minnesota. Everything after that is kind of, I want to say window dressing, but it is, you're kind of playing second fiddle now to the teams that are vying for a championship. At this point, as I said that week on my podcast, you can adjust your kind of expectations or your goals. I think the Packers, what they should be aiming for is the playoffs. I mean, at this point, they're 4-4. They're not out of it. They just need to start winning some games. And if they can get to the playoffs, they can extend their record streak of making the playoffs. That's, going along with the Patriots. They would be the first team ever in the history of the NFL to do it with 9 or 10 years in a row. So that should be the goal. But until they figure out how to score some points with Brett Hundley at quarterback, and until they can figure out how to win a football game, all of that is immaterial. But as far as being, Super Bowl contenders, that all ended when Aaron Rodgers got hurt. Did I see the Foo Fighters with Tom Crabtree? No, I did not. Capers has been coaching for 40 years and has been successful. Is he just all of a sudden bad, or is it an issue of outdated scheme and philosophy? It's funny with Capers, if you go back and you look at his history, oftentimes, it's kind of uncanny. When he goes to a place, when he goes to a new team, his defense he almost does, across the board, a great job of bringing a bad defense up and making it better and for the first 2 years of almost every tenure he's had, he has been successful, and then things have tailed off as his tenure has gone along. Now, I think with the Packers, there's some extenuating circumstances, but you can't deny they have been torched repeatedly in the playoffs by better offenses, usually by better quarterbacks, the better quarterbacks in the league, and that has been his Achilles heel. And I don't think it's any kind of wonder now that you've seen the same issues pop up over and over again because of his scheme. I think in 2014 was their best chance with Dom. His defense was playing extremely well down the stretch. Remember going into Seattle, everyone thinking the Seahawks were going to blow them out, and they, obviously limited Russell Wilson, turned him over a bunch of times that game, held him to 17 points. I mean, that was the best performance probably they were ever going to have under Capers after the Super Bowl year, and they couldn't close the deal. And since then, even in 2015 they played better, but it's been a long time coming. And now these kind of all of the issues and problems with the defense and the scheme, I think, are being laid bare. They should be getting just the results should be much, much better, given the fact that they have talented pieces to work with. Dennis, I am aware of what Colin Cowherd said. Colin Cowherd is a fool. Kevin Green, an option at defensive coordinator. Yeah, Andy, a lot of people kind of posit that and throw that out there. It's an interesting one. I don't know how that would work exactly. I don't think he's ever coordinated before, but maybe. Does he want to be a defensive coordinator? I don't even know. The guy quit on the Packers. You're going to bring him back to be your coordinator now? I don't know. I think that'll be a little weird. That Seattle game was all on McCarthy. Let's kick field goals when they are already up. That's ridiculous. We're not going to rehash this here, but McCarthy was an issue in that game, but where he falls on the kind of 21 points that were problematic in that game, he's like at number 18. Number one, if Brandon Bostic just holds on to the football, they're in the Super Bowl. So, kicking field goals early, fine. They got points on the road. Can't kill him for that. Now, could he have been a little bit more aggressive? Sure, especially at the end of the game. But, like I said, there's 21 points. They could have won that game. McCarthy is like 18. What do we do when Rodgers opts out? Why? How? Who started this myth that Rodgers can opt out of his contract? Who do I write the note to? Is that Colin Cowherd too? Because Rodgers is under contract for 2 more years. He can't opt out. Hey team, I'm late. What's up, Keith? Thanks for joining us. I liked Flynn. Gizzy, so did the Packers. He came in and he helped them win. Brett Favre needs to come back. Grayson, now you're talking. Now we're talking Favre watch. Now I'm all in. Will we give the Browns win number 1? Chris, I'll tell you what. The way they're playing, it's a distinct possibility. Catch me up. Marty B is gone. Yep, Robbie, he has been cut with a failure to disclose an injury issue or injury designation. Do we get any money back from Bennett's contract? I'm really interested. Okay, first of all, yes, the Packers can probably go after his bonus money. But I'm really fascinated by why Packers fans care so much. Who cares? It's not your money. I mean, it doesn't affect their salary cap. Any chance the coaching staff is the same next year? There's a small chance, an outside chance, but I really think if things continue down the path they've been on, I don't see how Dom Capers is back. Do we give Callahan a chance? Justin? I don't think anytime soon, but I tell you what, if the results continue to be the same on the offensive side of the ball and they continue to, stub their toe and show an inability to score and generally just don't look good on offense, yeah, I think Callahan might get a shot later on, maybe down the line there, 3 or 4 games down. But I think McCarthy has been adamant about his faith in Brett Hundley, and he's going to give him every opportunity. He's going to try everything he can, to make him successful. Lesson learned, should have kept going to Jared. Well played. Has Spielman, working with a backup QB as well, built a better team than Ted? No, he's built a team specifically on the defensive side of the ball. The strength of that team is the defense, and the offensive philosophy is to run the football and play great defense. The Green Bay Packers are built around Aaron Rodgers because Ted Thompson selected Aaron Rodgers with his first ever draft pick. And they have built the team completely around him, including the defense being a blitzing, opportunistic, the idea being your offense is going to score a lot of points, so you're going to have a defense that can get after the quarterback and pin its ears back and create turnovers. And that has been the entire philosophy of Mike McCarthy and Ted Thompson's program. It has won them a lot of games, including a Super Bowl. But now you see one of the issues when you do that is that when you don't have that quarterback, that New Orleans is built that way. Indianapolis was built that way back in the day under Peyton Manning. It is very, very much what you do when you have a franchise quarterback. The Vikings don't have a franchise quarterback. They have built a very strong defense, one of the best defenses in the league, and they are committed to running the football and taking shots down the field off play action. They're just different styles. The result of not joining hands with Aaron, solidarity in our season is cut short. Does Joe Callahan have a stronger arm than Brett Hundley? I think so, Jim. Deep throws to Nelson Adams were good. I agree. He's got to hit one of those. He got to maybe get some confidence. But I think Adams let him down, definitely up the right sideline there. And Adams, to his credit, Devontae Adams took total ownership of that after the game, saying that it was on him. He should have, put two hands out there, laid out a little bit. He misjudged the ball a little bit over his shoulder, and he thought it was a lot further overthrown than it was. Do we play rookies more now? Get them comfortable with the team and come back stronger and more experienced? I think they already were playing, you saw Montravius Adams and Vince Beagle get into the mix finally on Monday night. But, Jones, he's going to have to play regardless of whether they want him to or not because Morgan Burdett's already been ruled out for Sunday in Chicago. So you're going to see a lot of them. Bring Rhodes back, Don. That's a strong statement right there. Can we get our upcoming free agents for cheaper not having Rodgers this year? No, that's not how it works. Patriots went 3-1 without Brady last year. If the coaches did their job, no excuse. I agree to some extent. The Patriots had the #1 defense in the NFL last year. It helps. Donnie Moats, Ted Thompson needs to go now. Ted Thompson needs to go now. Any former Packer possibility at defensive coordinator? Former Packer? I tend to doubt it. You never know, but I doubt it. Slocum overstayed his welcome, so has Dom. Yeah, Slocum. Wow, there's a blast from the past. Should the Packers work in more design plays to target the turkey hole? Got a John Gruden fan in the house. I love it. Isn't it, how funny is it that ESPN literally ran a graphics package about the freaking turkey hole while the Packers were recovering a fumble on Monday night? God bless ESPN. Regardless if the Packers make the playoffs or not, Rodgers should just wait until next season. Yeah, that's a hot take. If they're in contention and Rodgers is good to go, he'll play. But there's two things there. I don't think he's going to be good to go, and I don't think they'll be in contention. So they're in the playoffs. But if they're in the playoffs and Rodgers is given the medical clearance, he will play. There is zero doubt about that. Don the Magic Man still around? Man, that would be something, wouldn't it? See that blonde mullet flowing on Lambeau Field once again? Where's Taysom Hill when you need him? New Orleans. How would you rate the talent on this roster without Rodgers? I think there is talent. I think it's, mostly like most NFL teams. The talent levels across the NFL, they're not that, the discrepancy is not that wide. There are teams that are better coached and there are teams that have great quarterbacks, but for the most part, the talent level from team to team is not that different. I think the Packers have talent. I think they have some deficiencies. I think their #1 deficiency by far and away is having a legit pass rusher who can disrupt games. They just don't have anyone on the roster like that. But outside of that, I think they have plenty of talent. Maybe they could use some speed at wide receiver. Like I said, they could use a pass rusher, but for the most part, yeah, I think they're pretty talented. Do you think we need to dump Thompson and Capers if we don't make the playoffs? Well, they won't dump Thompson, but I think Tom Capers getting dumped is a good possibility. Do you think Bulaga should call it a career? Only Brian Bulaga can answer that. It is tough, man. McCarthy said it this morning, or was it yesterday? It's a tough year. Go from the ankle now to the knee, and this is the 3rd year that he's had to deal with a season-ending injury. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how the Packers play that one. He is talented, and he is an asset for them when he is on the field, but his time on the field seems to come and go, more going than arriving. It seems like the whole team gave up once A-Rod got injured. Robbie, Mike McCarthy didn't say that, but he said something akin to it the other day, on Monday or Tuesday morning when we talked to him about what has happened since Hundley took over. Aaron Rodgers got hurt and no one stepped up. No group has stepped up. Like if the defensive line took things over, or if the wide receivers took her over. Of course, it's hard for them because they have to depend on the guy distributing the football. If the running game took over, the offensive line took over. No one group has really stepped up. And I think that's what McCarthy's really looking for this week. Are Julius Peppers and Micah Hyde showing that the Packers scheme is the problem? Maybe a little bit. I don't think you can make that kind of a blanket statement about it, but I do know Hyde's thriving in a much more traditional safety role than what he was asked to play in Green Bay. Tausch is available for right tackle if we need him. That's good. Tell Jason Wilde. He'll tell his fellow radio person. If they lose to the Bears, will the team quit? I don't think so. I think they're too young. These young guys, they go in, it's a job, they get paid, they play the game, and then they shake it off and go to the next week. I think if they had an older crew, much like maybe, say, a certain tight end who was just released, maybe you'd have a fear of shutting it down for the year. But these young guys, man, they just want to play. They just want to, do their job, play, try and win. I only see Blake Martinez playing with heart. True? Not true. I would say there are a bunch of guys playing with heart. They're maybe not guys who are as demonstrative about it, but there are plenty of guys out there playing their guts out. Just because they don't hoot and holler after a tackle or do a celebration after an offensive play, trust me, these guys want it worse than you'll ever know. McCray has stepped up. I couldn't agree more, man. McCarthy said the other day, it kind of surprised me actually, that he said, if there was a team MVP, he would be in the running. And, I thought about it and I was like, okay, I guess I get that. I mean, as far as the way he's been thrown in there in a number of different positions, especially considering how poor he looked in preseason, he has really played pretty darn well. And I think that's a testament to James Campen, the offensive line coach. I think he's done a really good job with everybody that's had to be thrown in there. Don't forget, the last time they faced the Bears, they had 4 guards and a center along the offensive line. I mean, and they won that game. So against a pretty good defense. So, yeah, I think McCray has done yeoman's work all year long. Can the D players do anything to free themselves from the yoke of a bad scheme? That's a good question. It's funny because, remember, was it last, and I think it was 2 off seasons ago, Glenn Dix created a bit of a storm with an Instagram account. Oh, it was when Sam Shields was released. And he made mention of, we play no matter what Dom calls, even if we don't like it, et cetera, et cetera. And that created a bit of a internet sensation, an internet storm, if you will. What doesn't cause an internet storm these days? But, so I don't think there's much they can do because you got to play what's called. But you can make plays, especially at the safety spot, right? I mean, you got to think, Jones, Clinton Dix, if you're sitting back there, go make a play. There's that play, I couldn't believe it watching on tape, one of the third downs where Josh Jones, he's playing center field and Stafford just airmails one over the middle, and instead of going and picking the ball off, he goes to lay a hit on the tight end. It's like the ball is literally, there's no way the tight end can catch this thing. And all Jones has to do is watch the football and go catch it. And it's a big-time play. But instead, he goes for this big hit, which I guess you're an enforcer. I get it. But, that's what they can do. Make plays, especially when they're presented to them. Is Hundley too quick to abandon his reads? It does look like that on tape while you're looking at it, but you don't know what he's been told. Maybe the coaches have said, look, if your first read isn't there, get out of there, because that's exactly what it looks like. But you can't say it definitively. It sure seems like a lot of times he's dropping his eyes early. He's definitely fleeing pockets that he doesn't need to. But there's so much going on. You don't know what he's being told. You don't know what McCarthy or Van Pelt have told him and coached him up to do. So I would hesitate to draw any firm conclusions. If the season ended now and we finished 4-12, what do the Packers select? The best available football player. Thank you. This message has been brought to you by Ted Thompson. How long will it be until McCarthy goes off on one of you guys in the media for asking him? I missed the last part. Yeah, it's coming. It'll probably happen after another loss, I think. He kind of went off on me the other night, although he did keep it together. But I think a good explosion, we're 1 or 2 losses away from it. Do we beat the Browns? It's a recurring question, and I think it's one we're all interested to see. Is Donald Lee in football shape to be the tight end? Mike, that's an awesome question. One of the great NFL Films moments is Robinson, their old wide receivers coach, yelling, "Way to make a play, D. Lee!" I love D. Lee. That's just great. Ted Thompson is a dinosaur. David, I assure you, I've met the man. He is human. We're staring 6 and 10 straight in the face. I don't agree. I don't disagree. Let's see. Ted Thompson trades back 8th overall pick for a 2nd and a 4th. Yeah, great. I'd love to see my Twitter when that happens. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for your questions. I got to get going. I got other stuff to do, but I will be back tomorrow. We'll see what other crazy mishaps the Packers can get themselves into. In the meantime, make sure you're checking PackersNews.com for all the latest. We'll have it all up for you, including the news of the day, which is the Packers have released Martellus Bennett. So in the meantime, I'll be doing stuff for PackersNews.com. Make sure you check it all out, all of our stuff. Talk to you soon. Talk to you tomorrow. Thanks a lot, everyone.